I was listening to music with Autumn, and most of the time I usually like to play like 80s music.
Yeah.
I feel like it's a pretty safe choice. Once I start getting to like the 90s music that I like, there's some like explicit material.
Yeah.
So
Or something you might have to explain.
exactly.
Yeah.
So we were listening to the 80s because we use Amazon Music for our music, and just because that's what I've always used, and I'm too lazy to take all my playlists and swap them over to Spotify.
Oh, yeah, I couldn't even imagine.
So we were listening to 80s music, and 99 Red Balloons came on.
Yeah. Was it the German version?
No, it was the English version. The German version came on later.
Yeah.
And I was listening to it, and I was like, oh, what a nice, catchy song.
Yeah.
And I started listening to like the lyrics.
Oh, yeah?
And it's about the war machine. I was like, I never noticed that. Interesting that would be the case.
Is that that's an 80s song?
Yes.
That's interesting. A lot of music that is critical of war usually comes from the 60s and 70s.
Yes, this one was 80s.
Way up in the 80s. What conflict was going on in the 80s? Is that the Gulf War?
That was towards the end of the 80s.
I don't really remember.
Yeah. I think it was just like a general, like, hey.
Yeah. Hey, war is bad.
Yeah, war is
Quit
bad.
doing that.
Yeah. You should probably quit killing people for profit.
There was a, speaking of war, so this whole thing going on with Ukraine is, it's a sensitive topic. It's not something that a lot of people like to talk about, because if you voice any kind of opinion on it, people will think you're like, a Putin sympathizer or, what have you. The other day, NATO, the official NATO Twitter.
Oh, boy.
They tweeted out some big long thread about
Twitted.
One of the tweets was, Ukraine is hosting one of the great epics of this century. Quote, we are Harry Potter and William Wallace, the Na'vi and Han Solo. We are escaping from Shawshank and blowing up the Death Star. We are fighting with the Harkonnens and challenging Thanos. And I'm like, who is this tweet for?
No.
We're talking about a war here.
Yeah.
Why are we likening this to pop culture? It's extremely fucking stupid.
Well, it's the same thing that happened when the war first kicked off.
Yeah.
And everybody was like Zelensky's so hot. It's like,
oh yeah,
what the fuck are you talking about?
What are you people doing?
Yeah, and there's like a body, like just limbs. There's no torso.
Yeah.
It's like, but the guy that runs the country's so fucking hot.
Fuck him.
There's like death and destruction everywhere. Yeah. It's because it's not over here.
Yeah,
That's
it's exactly what it is. It's not over here. Anyway, I replied.
Yeah, y'all keep that shit over there.
I replied to the tweet. I said, I hate what's happening in Ukraine. I wish humanity could move away from war and work together to become something beyond our mortal existence. But this particular tweet is so fucking lame that I'm going to remember it when I'm swallowed by nuclear fire and not feel so bad.
It's like I said, like I'll see stupid shit like that on the internet, and like, you know what? Maybe humanity has run its course.
Yeah, maybe we're done here.
Yeah, maybe we should be done here.
So this McDonald's bag here is staring me in the face. What is with the celebrity meals? Have you noticed that?
Yeah, they had, what was it, last year they had another one or something?
Was it Post Malone or Jack Harlow? A lot of celebrities these days are flashes in the pan. Have you noticed that?
Yeah.
Like they had like these meteoric rises
Yeah.
and then nothing out of them for a long time.
Yeah. Reminds me a lot of the 80s.
Yeah.
Bringing it back.
Yeah.
But
Well, it's interesting that, like, I know a lot of fast food places are doing this. Like, try the such and such meal, the so and so meal.
I mean, all it is they're just like taking shit from off of the meal and then smacking it together.
Yeah, it's already on the menu.
Yeah.
Like, we get, like, go get a 10-piece chicken nugget and a McDouble, and that's the Vladimir Zelensky meal.
Yeah, they're just hoping that all the lemmings like run out.
Oh my God! It's being endorsed by the people I like.
That's like how little corporate America thinks of normal people.
I just think it's really dumb.
Oh yeah, it's definitely stupid.
Yeah, Dairy Queen does MLB players. Which, let's be honest, if there's any professional athlete who's eating Dairy Queen, it's going to be baseball players,
right?
Because they are famously not as in shape as other sports. You ever seen like pictures of like old baseball like legends, and they're just like these,
Babe Ruth.
just a big fat guy.
Yeah, it's a big fat guy smoking a cigar.
It's like super unhealthy looking dude.
Like that's peak performance right there.
Yeah.
I feel like baseball is much more of a skill as opposed to like a sport.
As far as like athletic prowess goes.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Like throwing a baseball like 100 miles an hour does take some athletic skill.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, and
like,
some training. Yeah,
training.
dedication.
Yeah, of course. But as opposed to like soccer, where you're like running the entire time.
The entire time.
I think they said they run like 15 miles in one soccer match.
Fuck that.
Yeah. And then you have like, of course, like football, where it's like, for us, for Americans, those are the top athletes.
Yeah.
Well, because they get paid the most.
Yeah, consider what you have to do while you're down there.
Right.
You have to run full speed into another guy who's 400 pounds of muscle. He's running at you full speed. You just got to try and survive it.
And then you have like the NBA, which, I mean, they're extremely fast. They can jump really high.
Very agile.
Right, as opposed to...
All those guys are very lean.
Right.
Yeah.
As opposed to baseball players.
Yeah, who are very...
Yeah, which, I mean, there are some baseball players that are in really good shape. They're very athletic people. But
a lot of them are very stocky.
Right.
You know?
But,
I mean, they're definitely in better shape than I am. Any MLB player is going to be in better... Pick any of them. They're in better shape than I am. But he's not in better shape than any football player.
Right.
Maybe some like 40-year-old like nose guard.
Right.
It's like riding out the last season.
Yeah. But I kind of feel the same way about baseball that I feel about like golf.
Yeah.
Like I don't particularly consider golf to be a sport.
Right.
Golf is much more of like, it's a skill.
Yeah.
Like if there's something that an 80-year-old can beat me at, that's not a sport. That's no longer a sport.
Yeah.
It's an activity at this point.
Like if y'all had a pickup game of hoop.
Yeah.
Yeah, you might destroy him.
Yeah, I'd break his hip. I'd take you down in the post, old man.
What's that picture of those two golfers that are standing there, and one of them is like this big fat white guy.
Yeah.
He's like smoking this cigarette. He's got like on pajama pants or whatever. He's like in the PGA Tour or something. You know, I've only ever been to like a handful of like major league sporting events. Like I've been to a couple of baseball games. I think I've gone to see the Falcons twice, and I've only ever seen one NBA game, and that was way back. That was when Shaq played for Miami.
No.
So that was a while ago.
Yeah.
And it's always weird, like when you're there and you're watching it, because like there will be these points where they're just kind of standing around doing nothing.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, what is this? And you're like, oh, this is a commercial break.
Yeah, a commercial break.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, that's why. Like I've been to some sporting events. Of course, I've been to a Falcons game before.
We've been to a Thrashers game.
Yeah, that was so long ago. I don't really remember that. Yeah. Yeah, I remember the whole time we were there, I wanted to see a fight, and it never happened. Yeah. And I was really disappointed.
Like, this is the only reason people watch this, right? Yeah.
Sort of like NASCAR for the wrecks.
Yeah.
But I think the most fun I've ever had at like a sporting event is when we lived in Jacksonville and we used to go to the minor league baseball game.
Yeah.
Because like they're actively trying to entertain you the whole time.
Right, yeah.
And the seats are so cheap. Like we sat like directly behind home plate, like 5 rows up for $10 a seat. Like if you try to do that at a Braves game, that's like $200 for both those seats.
Yeah, if not more.
Right.
I think one of the most entertaining things I ever went to that was like an arena or whatever was motocross.
Oh yeah, that's fun.
And that was back in that had to have been like 10th grade. I was with two friends, and one of my friends at the time, his dad worked with somebody who knew somebody who knew somebody.
Yeah.
And we were able to get box seats.
Oh, nice.
And so we were like in like the VIP area where they were like bringing us food and stuff. And I remember there was a guy who was walking around and he was selling beer. And we were like, hey, can we get a beer? And he's like, nah, you guys are too young. And he kind of walked back a little bit later. He's like, pretend to show me your ID and I'll sell you this beer. So we bought a beer. We're like 15. And we poured it in a NOS bottle and drank it. But yeah, I remember that being a lot of fun, man. I guess a lot of it had to do is like I was with my buddies.
Right.
But it was really cool watching those guys kind of doing like stunts or whatever. Yeah. I remember they would do this one thing where they would kind of go up like this quarter pipe and they would just like, they're on dirt bikes, right? So they're just like, it's like as fast as they can go. And they'd fly up this quarter pipe and they had this like LED screen that would track like how high up they went. And like, you know, they're getting up there.
One guy just goes right. He just keeps going.
Well, one guy got above the like tower.
Really?
Yeah. He had to have been 80 feet in the air.
Yeah.
And then he comes back down and takes off on the quarter pipe like some fucking Tony Hawk shit.
My butthole would be so tight.
You're thinking like, well, you know, when he got into like the apex of that jump and he turned his bike around and saw like how far up in the air he was. How do you hold it together, man?
He just puts his hands over his eyes. I remember I went to a motocross thing, but that was when I was in maybe third grade.
Yeah.
And I remember because we went with Jimmy and Chuck.
Yeah.
And Dad took me over there because I think Jimmy and Chuck had gotten tickets or something. But I remember me and Allison went, and when we lived in Jacksonville again, we went to see Monster Jam, and that was really fun.
Oh, I bet that was fun.
Yeah, that was really cool. We got to see Gravedigger.
Yeah.
And so he did like a double backflip. And like watching a truck, watching a vehicle that size do any type of stunt is amazing.
Right. Yeah, a lot of that stuff is really fucking cool. I've seen Gravedigger like in Douglasville. He's like a local guy, isn't he?
I don't know.
Like I've seen it around. I've seen that truck around.
Yeah.
I don't know the name of the guy who drives the thing, or if it's had multiple drivers or whatever. But we also went to a NASCAR event one time when we were younger. You remember that?
I remember it was really fucking cold.
Yeah, it was fucking miserable. And it was like raining. We were sitting on those aluminum bleachers and wet blankets.
Ugh.
And I was like, you know, I don't care about NASCAR.
It's like, we were like, how many more laps do they have to go? Like 203 laps.
Oh,
like,
my fucking God. There was a, I don't know if you ever saw this, but there was like, it had to have been about a year ago now. They were, I guess it was like a qualifying rounds or whatever for who's going to the big race or whatever.
No.
There was one guy who was a couple spots behind, and he had to be ahead 4 spots in order to qualify. No. And they're coming around like on the last turn before the finish line. And he's talking to the guy on the radio, right?
Yeah.
And because the guys, like your pit crew or whatever, they are controlling a lot of what the car can do.
Yeah.
Like apparently, like in NASCAR, they don't ever use the 5th gear. Mm-hmm. Because you would be going so fast in 5th gear that even on that straightaway, it wouldn't, you couldn't really do much with it.
You wouldn't be able to turn.
Yeah.
Even though it's not really so much of a turn as it is like an embankment.
Yeah. So, quick aside, our dad went and did a thing where he got to drive a NASCAR, and he said that when you go into those embankments, it turns the car for you just because, they're so steep or whatever. Yeah. But in this video, I wish I could remember the guy's name because it's really fucking cool. He's like, I need 4 spots. And like, yeah, you need 4 spots. He was like, give me 5th. And they're like, okay. They gave him the 5th gear. And he hugs the wall.
Yeah.
and just rides the wall all the way around. Like he floors it like 200 miles an hour. Like you would do in a fucking video game. And he lets the wall steer him around.
It's like scraping.
Yeah, just scraping the side of his car. And he like took like 11 spots. And it's funny because like you listen to like all the different pit crews and guys in the towers like, did you fucking see that? That was the coolest shit I've ever seen.
One thing I really like to watch, because who was it? I used to listen to Bill Burr's podcast a lot, and he talked about MotoGP, which is the
is that a motorcycle racing?
Motorcycle races. Those are wild.
What's
and
crazy?
I think they're only like 20 laps, so they're not very long.
But those guys are booking.
Yeah, they're fucking moving.
When you see them go around those turns,
and they've laid the bike all the way down.
Yeah, those bikes are like at like an 8-degree angle off
it's
the
fucking
pavement.
wild.
Yeah, that's fucking crazy. I could never. I have zero desire to do that, and not nearly enough confidence or trust in myself or the machine that I'm on. Because I've seen those races like go bad.
Oh, really
like
bad.
where those dudes will wreck.
Yeah,
and you're on a fucking motorcycle, so there's no airbags. You know, the best you can hope for is that nobody else hits you,
right?
And you crash into a tire wall,
right? Your limp, lifeless body.
Yeah, you're just a bag of bone shards.
I guess with the suits that they have now, like if the suit detects an impact, like the suit will blow out. And the suit becomes an airbag. Yeah.
Wow, that's actually really cool.
So like you go boom, you like bounce across the.
There's still that initial impact.
Yeah, of course.
Right? It still has to register that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I guess it's the second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth impact that that might be what gets you.
He like slows you down. You like float up in there.
It's like a big Zorby. Like one of those big balls. We did that at Pigeon Forge. Me and Aaron did.
Yeah, that was a long time ago.
It was a very long time ago. And I remember that I was too large to do the one where they strap you in place.
Yeah.
So they just put me in one and put water in it.
Just kicked it down the hill.
Yeah. So I was like sliding around, sloshing around in this thing. But Aaron did the one where they strapped him in. Yeah. And I remember like asking him, and I was like, "What was it like?" He was like, "I couldn't tell what was happening." Yeah. It was just rotating.
God, I couldn't imagine doing that now. I did like immediately throw up.
Yeah, I definitely. As I got older, I think I had mentioned it on the podcast one time. But one time, me and Mary went to the county fair. They do one over there near where she works every year, and we didn't go last year, but we usually will go, at least to just kind of go walk around and people watch and get fair food like a funnel cake or something. But this particular time, we were like, "Oh yeah, let's hop on a ride," and we got on the Scrambler.
Oh no!
It was the first time I'd been on like a ride in a really long time, and like I just remember like. So everybody doesn't know, the Scrambler is like this, like a Y-shaped thing, and on each end of the Y, there's like a row of seats.
Yeah. And
those rows of seats rotate independently of the Y-shaped thing as it's rotating. So you're kind of like being just slung around. And I remember like 4 seconds into this ride starting up, I was like, I feel like I'm going to pass out. And I was like, what happened? I did not used to be like this at all.
I remember Dad was telling me the first time he ever rode Goliath over at Six Flags.
Yeah, he passed out.
Yeah, as they were coming down like the first hill, he like passed out.
Yeah, he was sitting next to me.
Yeah. He like woke up and y'all were going down the second hill.
I remember that. That was like shortly after Goliath had opened up.
Yeah. All the rides at Six Flags, all the roller coasters are pretty good, with the exception of 2 of them.
The Ninja?
Well, 3 of them. And I think the Ninja's not there anymore.
Is it not?
I don't know. It's been such a long time since I've been.
Been a long time since I've been there.
And that's like towards the back of the park.
Yeah.
So I know, like, the first time I rode the Ninja, I was like, oh my God, that hurts so bad.
Yeah, because it beats the mess out of you.
It beats the fuck out of you.
You're like, your head's like banging off of the fucking like thing. It's a rough fucking ride.
Like, if anybody that owned that park went and rode that ride, they'd be like, oh my God, we have to fix this.
Yeah, shut this down.
Yeah. That one's bad, and then the Scream Machine is really fucking bad now. Like, the last time I rode it.
The Scream Machine.
It's the one next to the Ninja.
Is the big giant wooden one?
It's the big giant wooden one back at the park.
Did a lot of work on that one recently, because I remember seeing an article about how they were reopening it.
Really?
Like, I guess they replaced a lot of the
tracks.
The tracks or something like that.
Well, it would beat you to fucking death, too.
Yeah.
That one was really bad, and then the Cyclone was really bad.
I thought you were going to say Deja Vu.
I never actually rode Deja Vu because every time I went up there, it was broke.
Yeah. I remember hearing like, oh yeah, it's like throwing test dummies off of it.
Yeah.
And people still go get on that fucking thing.
I remember because they put in Deja Vu and Acrophobia at the same time.
Yeah.
And I rode Acrophobia one time.
Yeah.
I was like, never again.
Never again. Me too.
Never again will I get on this fucking ride.
Yeah.
Because like we got up to the top, like for anybody that doesn't know what it is, it's essentially it takes you up like 200, 300,
a long way.
300 feet maybe?
Like 25 stories.
Yeah, so
it's
maybe about 250 feet.
Up.
In between 200 and 300 feet.
Yeah, like to the top of the Burj Khalifa.
Yeah. And so like you get up to the top of it and it's supposed to just drop you. And so I wasn't really paying attention to what was going on.
Yeah.
I was busy doing something else, who knows? And so we get up to the top. I'm like, okay, well, it's getting ready to drop. And then all of a sudden, my seat just starts like
tilting forward.
And I was like, no, I don't like this.
Nope.
'Cause I'm not a small guy.
Yeah.
And there's just this plastic.
Yeah, holding
me
your
in.
body weight. Dead weight. It's terrifying.
It is absolutely terrifying. There's nothing fun about it.
No. And also, it's incredibly uncomfortable.
Yes.
Because the seat, I remember when I rode it, the seat didn't, go all the way past my ass.
Right.
And there's, that weird, horn-shaped thing that goes between your legs.
Yeah.
And it was, bisecting my nutsack.
It was like a ball on each side.
Yeah. And I remember when it dropped and it came to a stop at the bottom, all that force was like, yes! It's just smashing my gooch into this thing. I got off of it. I was like, not only was that terrifying, but it was painful. I always liked the wheelie.
Which one was that one?
So the wheelie was right there next to Scream Machine and Ninja. It was that big circle thing, and you get in the buckets or whatever, and it would spin around, and then it would kind of raise up like this.
Oh yeah,
was that black and red one?
Yeah, I do know what you're talking about.
I liked that one a lot. I remember riding it one time, and there's a hinge or whatever on that bucket, and it was popping. As we were coming around, every time when we were up in the air, it would take weight off of it, but when we came back down, it would stress it. It would go ping every time we came around.
Timmy's like, please let this be over with.
Because I'm thinking in my head, if it lets go of me, at the apex of this rotation,
I'm gonna go way over there.
It's gonna toss me into the lake,
and I can't get out of this thing.
I can't get out of this thing. It's just fucking drown.
Wasn't there a few years that maybe, well, at this point probably 8 years ago, but there was that video of where it was that swinging carny ride, where it snapped and threw all these people off of it.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of those. That happened over in India.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I do remember that one.
Yeah.
Is that the one where all the people go and jump up on the side of it to keep it from tipping over?
That's another video.
Yeah. Well,
there's a lot of instances of this kind of shit happening in India. I don't know if it's got anything to do with India, but I mean, carnivals, if you go to a theme park, a theme park is going to be a lot safer than a carnival, where a bunch of fucking roadies set it up the night before, and they were high on Xanax and whatever they mixed with
each other.
Yeah, and their toothless mouths. There was a bad one, probably about a year ago. There was a kid, he was 14, but he was a very large kid. He was almost 300 pounds. And he was far too large to be on this ride. No. And it was one of those ones where, it kind of like acrophobia, where it goes up and it comes back down. And if you look at like the pictures before they sent him up or whatever, you can tell like his harness it's not all the way down because it can't. He's just too big.
Yeah, he's just stuffed into this thing.
Yeah, and that puts I guess that puts the park in a weird position because it's like there's this whole fat phobia thing going on, and it's like oh well, if they didn't let him on, they would have gotten in trouble for this, that, and the other. But also because you let him on, he lost his life.
Right.
And I remember seeing the video because it was circulating on Twitter. They go up and they come back down. And before they come all the way down, he slips out of his seat. 30, 40 feet in the air. And, already that's a long fall, but they were falling. So he was
past terminal velocity.
He had momentum, yeah. It said that he would have hit the ground probably going like 80 miles an hour.
Oof.
And, of course, it kills him immediately.
Yeah.
And, it's just like that's a horrible tragedy, but there's a reason that we have safety guidelines and things like that. Like when they design these rides, there's a team of engineers designing this thing. They're like, okay, as long as nobody past this size and this weight gets on the ride, it'll work fine.
Right. It's like you wouldn't let somebody onto a ride that's like 7 foot tall.
Yeah.
Like a roller coaster or something that goes down in a tunnel.
Yeah, like the Dahlonega mine train.
Yeah. It's like, because you're going to decapitate this fucking person.
Yeah.
It's like it has nothing, like we're not trying to be mean to you. Yeah. We're trying to keep you from dying.
So you can stand there and scream at me about being a bigot or whatever, however much you want to. But the reality is, if you get on this thing,
you will die.
You will die. You're not coming back off.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's sort of, it's wild to me that, like, I see so many stories now where, people are, saying they've been discriminated against because of their size. And it's like, it really has nothing to do with the discrimination. It has to do with the fact that, like you said, most of these are safety guidelines.
Yeah. We're talking about math here.
Right.
Math doesn't discriminate.
Right.
The math says that if you get on this ride, you die.
Right. It's like...
Take it up with math.
Yeah. It's... this isn't an art.
Yeah.
Like, these are specific regulations that we have to follow.
Right.
Because once you go past a certain weight limit, then it becomes a liability for us if we let you own this ride. Because you could possibly die.
There's, like, no room for error here.
Right.
Yeah.
It's sort of like there's a reason why it's like you must be this tall to ride this ride. Mm-hmm. Like there's a reason.
Those exist for a reason.
A reason.
I remember seeing a video a while back where this guy was like, Disney parenting hack. Our son Xander was too short to get on the whatever ride at Disneyland. Yeah. So we put him in these fucking shoes that made him 6 inches taller. And I'm thinking like I understand, like, you as I guess a parent are thinking I did something special for my kid so he can enjoy whatever. But also, you're endangering his little life.
Right. So when he goes flying out of the fucking teacup ride and smashes his head against the fucking pole.
He, like, lands in some gears.
Right.
And gets turned into bacon strips.
Right. Then it's on you.
That's on you, big guy.
Yep.
There's a restaurant over in Atlanta called the Sundial. Mm-hmm. And it's one of those. I've never been to it, but it's.
Oh, is that the one that rotates?
It rotates. Yeah. So it's like a big dining area on like a round, like a big Lazy Susan type thing, big giant thing, and it slowly rotates, gives you a view of the city or whatever. And there was a couple years ago, a little kid got stuck in the mechanism of it. It killed him.
No.
And from what I understand, there's like a space in between the floor.
Yeah.
And the wall on the outside edge of this thing, and somehow he got like either his arm or his leg down in there. And you consider the amount of force that it takes to rotate like a building or a building full of people.
You're fucking nothing.
That's an enormous amount of torque.
Right.
Several thousand pounds of torque.
No.
So some kid's little leg getting stuck in there is basically
drag him right in there.
It's like he's nothing at all.
No.
And I want to say that restaurant is still open, but it doesn't rotate anymore.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's just a tragedy, you know.
Well, when you have large mechanical items in people, it's like eventually something bad's going to happen.
Yeah. You throw that human element in there, and mistakes get made, people get hurt. Now there's one in China, there was some a famous story about this woman who was going up an escalator, and she with her kid, and they got up to the top, and she stepped off of She stepped onto like metal grate kind of area, and it broke, and she fell through. But before she fell all the way through, she like tossed her kid to safety, and then she fell down in the mechanism, and it just fucking ground her up.
Just fucking horrific.
What an awful fucking way to go.
Yeah.
Especially like legs first.
Can't even be head first. Just get this over with.
Quick.
Like,
He just gets squeezed out like toothpaste.
oh, Jesus Christ. How fucking horrific. This your last moments are just horror and pain.
Yeah. Knowing that nobody can help you.
Yeah. Like, at least, like, if you were getting eaten by an animal, like, it's still, like, somewhat natural.
Yeah,
like, this,
like, at least this is nature.
Yeah. Not this fucking cold steel just grinding me up into fucking hamburger meat.
God almighty. It's like whenever have you ever seen those videos where like those like in scrap yards or whatever, like in junkyards where they have those big like masher grinder things. They'll throw like a propane tank in there and it just chews it up like it's nothing. I know for a fact somebody ended up in one of those things.
Oh yeah.
Somebody somewhere
went into
like
one of those the mob. It was
like the cartel threw a guy in there or something. Or like the triads, or the what's the other one? The Yakuza.
Yeah, the Yakuza, is that Japanese?
I think triads and Yakuza is Japanese.
Oh, they're both Japanese.
Yeah, one of them, I don't know which, has an enormous presence in Tokyo. Like almost like runs Tokyo.
That's the Yakuza, isn't it?
It might be the Yakuza. I don't know for a fact.
Isn't it kind of amazing? Like large cities like that have such a. Like, it used to be, and it might still be this way, but the mob used to run New York City.
Yeah.
Like, if you wanted anything done, it went through the mob.
Right. That was, that probably would have been like 1910, 12. So
yeah, like early,
all the,
like early
Italian immigrants were coming over.
Yeah. It's sort of like, I know, was it in Boston for a long time that was, like, very heavily, like, Russian mob?
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. I didn't know that.
Like, the Russian mob ran a lot of that up in Boston, if I'm not mistaken.
When we went to Italy,
oh yeah, did you like see any? You're like, well,
no, I never really did see anything that was kind of questionable.
Yeah.
As far as like criminality is concerned.
Yeah.
But when we went down to Amalfi, so we had to take a train from Rome down to, I want to say Siena. But that might not be right. Something like that. Serena, something like that. But the town where we got off the train to get on the ferry, our tour guide told us, she was like, now, we're just walking through town just to get on the ferry. She's like, but you need to know that this is a mob town. The mafia owns this town.
Oh, shit.
And they were like, she was like, so, just be careful.
Yeah. Don't be going around doing this.
Yeah. Don't be gesticulating at people and like, hey, ow, That's the spicy meatball. So I thought that was interesting that they're just kind of like, everybody knows that this is like a criminal,
that's
seedy
wild
underbelly down here. It's just we kind of accept it for what it is.
I mean, I guess. No, I mean, you go into like certain parts of large cities, it's like everybody knows.
Yeah.
Everybody knows.
But especially when you think about like the Italian mafia, especially like in Italy.
Yeah.
That's families. Stuff that goes back generations upon generations, like back to the fucking Stone Age, probably all the way back. So you'll never get that out. You'll never get that element gone.
Root it out of there.
Yeah, that's there.
Yeah.
That's a part of it. It's like it's part of the foundation.
Yeah, it's been around since like the Roman Empire.
Yeah.
I wonder, like, when gangs, like large gangs, like the mob, like when did that first get started? You know what I mean? Because like
as far as like organized crime,
because like you don't hear you hear about like some dude like in like old England, he's like, give me your money, and like like some fucking pickpocket or something.
Yeah.
Or
I mean, they had like highwaymen.
Yeah.
People like because it used to be if you wanted to get from town to town, you just had to fucking walk there.
Right. You're like, you couldn't give me your money. They're like got like bludgeon you over the head with a fucking stick they found in the forest.
Or some guy with like a rapier. Stand and deliver. He like jumps out behind a rock. Ha ha. Everybody had a little bit of dramatic flair. Well, I think that if you're talking about mob and mafia, so that's very large, organized crime. Something that size is probably they're probably only concerned with money.
Right.
They run it like a business.
Right.
And
that's what I'm saying. Like, I know, like, the Roman Empire, like, that was a very large government.
It was like one of the biggest.
Right. So there is room in there for organized crime.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Like, you can, like, it doesn't, like, humans are humans throughout history. Like, you can pay off people.
Yeah.
Like, it's not that hard.
Everybody's got a price.
Right, exactly.
I don't know. It probably didn't start out as, like, crime for crime's sake.
Right.
It probably started out as like, hey, if we
take care of our own,
you kind of skirt the law a little bit here, we can take care of ourselves. And then, of course, it, evolves into the horrid things that it is, because that's also what humans do.
Right.
Just bastardize everything. I mean, look at the fucking cartels in Mexico, man. Like the shit that they do to people down there. It's not like, the Italian mafia, they at least, pretend to be about for the little man, for the people.
No.
Like, the cartel's just over here cutting people's hearts out.
Right.
Just 'cause.
Feeding them to dogs. And
Yeah. There was one where they went in, the cartel rolled into some town in Mexico and, like, hung a bunch of people off an overpass and then left.
So, what was it? I think we might have talked about this, but apparently now the cartel has, like, taken over all the avocado farms in Mexico.
Really?
Yeah, because the price on avocado is so astronomically high. Like, they make so much money off those avocados.
Oh, wow. So they're like, instead of doing cocaine...
Well, they've also added to their portfolio, which is avocados
cocaine
now.
and avocados. They're going to grow some, like, hybrid plants, going to be like a cocacado.
You got, like, some dude down there's got, like, wearing suspenders, like a real, like a handlebar mustache, drinking his soy latte.
And
then he's got, like, somebody in the back, like, with a tire around him on fire.
I just imagine a guy, like, he opens up an avocado, like, scoops it out, and he takes a credit card and mashes it up, snorts that mush up into his nose. Avocado is one of those things that I can't really get behind. Not that I have, like, a moral opposition to avocados. No. I just don't like the way that they taste. It's to me, an avocado tastes the way a lump of wet grass smells.
Yeah. To me, it just really doesn't really have a taste. I mean, it's sort of like when people eat, like, tofu. Like, tofu it's more texture than anything. It's really not.
I like tofu if it's in, like, like ramen or something like that. But then that's because it's in a broth with flavor.
Exactly. It's like, I'm not, like, we make, like, a chicken tortilla soup that we'll put avocado in.
Yeah.
But that's more for texture.
Right.
As opposed to, like, I'm not just going to, like, open up a fucking avocado and, like, eat this avocado.
Eat it with a spoon.
Right.
Autumn might.
Yeah, my daughter loves avocados.
Your daughter, so I have never known a kid who will just eat anything. Like, is she?
She won't eat onions.
Oh, she's weird about onions?
Yeah. She'll eat them, like, if I cook it, like, onions and stuff, but just, like, a raw onion, she wants no part of it.
I just remember, like, her being, like, a little kid, like, 2. Like, she's still a little kid, but, like, even younger. She would just eat limes and lemons.
Oh, yeah. Limes, lemons.
Like, rind and all.
Yeah. She'll eat.
Not even make a face.
Nope. She likes tomatoes, cauliflower, broccoli.
She loves asparagus.
Carrots, asparagus, Brussels sprouts, any type of bean.
Yeah.
Like, all the vegetables. She
That's
likes
crazy.
All of them.
So did y'all actively raise her to be that way, or did you just feed her food and just like, here's your food?
So what we did was, of course, like, when you have a baby, you always start them out on formula, and then, like, as they get a little bit older, you start introducing, like, some cereals type deal.
Yeah.
So we had, like, the Gerber, like, rice cereal, which doesn't. You, like, put it in with the formula, you heat it up, and then you, like, it's like a
This is like puffed rice.
Yeah, it's like puffed rice. It's like oatmeal almost. So, like, we're feeding her that, and then, like, you kind of graduate them up to, like, the oatmeal type deal, and then give them that. But none of this really has, like, a strong taste to it yet.
Yeah, very bland stuff.
And very bland. And then, so when we got ready to start her, like, on the little packets or whatever, we started her out on green beans, carrots, butternut squash, and sweet potato.
Yeah.
but we always made sure like there was like, because we knew that most of the kids didn't like green beans.
Yeah.
So we didn't want to automatically start her out on like, oh, here's bananas.
Yeah, here's
like,
sweet stuff.
Here's sweet stuff. Like we were giving her like stuff that was like still kind of like, here's a vegetable.
Yeah.
And here's like a butternut squash, or here's sweet potato or something.
Yeah.
And I think from us doing that, it wasn't like overload.
Right. Yeah.
Like we were slowly, and then like towards the end, then we started introducing like bananas and like more sweet stuff.
Yeah. I just think it's so interesting that she really has no hang-ups with like any type of food. I guess other than onions or whatever.
Well, she's getting older now, and now she does start.
She's starting to have like a preference or whatever. Yeah. I just remember one day we had mom and dad over for dinner, and they had Autumn with them. And I had made some steaks and baked potatoes and asparagus, and I cooked a shit ton of asparagus.
She'll eat all of it.
She ate every bit of it, man.
She loves asparagus.
We all plated up our plates, whatever. And there was a good amount of asparagus left, and she's just sitting there at the table, just grabbing stalks of asparagus. And I just watched her like, what kid likes asparagus?
She loves asparagus. If we cook, she could care less about that steak.
Yeah.
Like, she wants the asparagus.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I'm like, all right.
But that'll serve her well as she gets older.
Right. You're not like me where I'm like, I'm going to eat these meat and potatoes, then I'm going to have an ice cream afterwards.
Yeah. Get that fucking vegetable out of here. Well, I mean, you're not like an extremely picky eater. Like, you'll eat, whatever's on your plate as long as it does not have onions in it.
Right.
But, like, there's nothing worse than, like, an extremely picky, like, adult.
Yeah.
Who will only eat things like mashed potatoes and chicken fingers.
Right.
And you're like, how have you survived this long?
Even like if it's something that I'm like, I don't really think I really want that. Like I'll like if I'm like out with other people, like if I'm like on a business trip or something.
Yeah.
Like I will force feed myself that.
You'll stomach it.
I'll stomach it. Right.
It's like I'm not a huge fan of like squash and zucchini. Mm-hmm. But the other night I had made some pork chops and like some rice and some squash and zucchini because I made it because I know Mary really likes that stuff. And I was like, well, I know that these vegetables, I need to get some vegetables in me.
Right.
And I was like, so I'll get these down. And so I put a good portion of that stuff on my plate. Yeah. And I just grinned and just swallow it. One thing I cannot force myself to eat is celery.
I like celery if it's in soup. Like if
it's chopped up and it's
like
in soup,
if I make
soft.
Like if I make like a pot roast or something, I cook it all day long, and I will usually put celery in it.
That I don't mind as much, but like a stick of celery, like a raw stick of celery.
I don't like raw celery.
I can't do that, man. I cannot even force myself to eat that. Like people will like slather peanut butter on it and eat it. Can't do that. Mm-mm. Dip it in ranch, still can't do it. Mm-mm. I just can't do it.
And that's another weird thing about it. Onions, I can't do like raw onions, and I can't do sauteed onions.
Really?
Like cooked onions, like if you dice them up and like put them in to like add flavor to something, I can eat them like that way, because it's a texture thing.
Yeah,
right?
A lot of times it's a texture thing.
Right.
Yeah.
The only food that I do not like because of the taste is cauliflower. I fucking hate cauliflower.
Really?
I hate the taste of it. It's like got this weird aftertaste, and I can't quite put my finger on it. I don't know what it is.
I'm really turned off by cauliflower just because it looks like sick broccoli.
Yeah.
It just looks like broccoli that grew in a cave. So just looking at it kind of weirds me out.
Well, even even the difference between like broccoli has like this, like the top part or whatever, it's got like the little
like beads.
Yeah, beads on it, right? Cauliflower looks that way, but it's not really that way.
Yeah, it's much more like uniform.
Right, it's hard, like it's a whole, like a solid.
Yeah,
like there's really no way to explain this.
It looks too odd to me, and like I have never in my life taken a piece of cauliflower and eaten it.
Autumn has. Autumn ate some the other night. She ate the whole thing. I love cauliflower and didn't even dip it in ranch. Just fucking popped it in her mouth and ate it. I like, that's gross.
That's because you're weird. Well, since we're on the topic of children, let's segue into our Super Cringe Thursday post. So we got two of them we got to cover. I'm really excited to get into the second one. So our first Super Cringe Thursday post was, for anybody who didn't see it, there's a young man, probably, what do you say, 10?
Yeah, probably about 10.
And a girl who's older than him, probably close to 14, 15 years old.
Yeah, 15 or 16 probably, I'd say.
And he is he's peacocking as much as possible. It looks like something that like David Attenborough would like narrate. The young man will now perform his dance. So he's standing in front of this girl. They're at some kind of like church function or whatever.
It's definitely a church function.
It's definitely a church function. And he is doing like...
He's every move he can think of.
Everything. Last episode I talked about stomping and pointing, doing the white lady dance. That's what he was doing. Yeah. But he was busting a move. And the girl is just standing there staring into his soul. Well, not moving an inch.
It goes on for a long time, and like eventually, I can't look at him anymore. And so then I'm looking at her, like trying to gauge what her reaction is.
You kind of have to watch that one twice,
right?
Yeah.
And so, but then like towards the middle of it, I noticed like she's looking over the top of him,
like so she's not even looking at him anymore.
Even like. I don't know if she starts looking at him like, because her head is turned, you can't really see.
Yeah.
And then she kind of turns her head to the side, and her eyes are at the horizon.
Yeah.
They're not even looking down at this kid.
But he's doing everything he can.
So I'm just very confused. It's like, why are you still standing there?
Yeah.
Like, what's going on here?
Maybe her like fight or flight response is broken, and she's just frozen. So the reason it was a Super Cringe Thursday pick, it's a little kid doing a little kid thing or whatever. But it's that,
well, there's no communication between
the two of them. There's a complete disconnect. But it's cringy, when you ever see somebody who's trying to like hit on a girl and just bombing.
Ugh.
You know what I mean?
It's almost as bad as that one that we did where that girl's dancing on the other guy and the guy's just like standing in front of her with the drink.
Ooh.
That one was bad.
That one's really bad. There's a severe lack of self-esteem involved with that one.
This one, he lacks no self-esteem.
No, he had all the self-esteem. Very confident in his abilities.
On opposite ends of the spectrum, but very much alike.
We had discussed, like, I don't know if I've ever in my life, like, tried to impress a girl. Like, gone out of my way to, like, impress a girl.
Right.
Like, every relationship I've ever had just kind of formed through familiarity and, like, I didn't go away.
Still here.
But I've never had to do that. I don't know if I could. I don't even know where to start. If I had to dance, if someone's like, okay, you have to, gun to your head, dance to impress this woman. I'd just be like, hand me the gun. I'll do it myself.
I think, like, if you're talking about, like, dancing or whatever, like, if we're, like, of course, like, when me and Allison first started dating, like, we would dance or whatever, but we're both actively participating in this activity.
Yeah, you're not dancing, like, at her.
I'm not dancing at her. Like, I felt like crumping.
Oh, boy. I don't know if I could probably count on one hand the amount of times in my life I've ever danced. Like, I danced with Mom at my wedding, and I danced with Mary at my wedding. And I think...
That's about it.
That's probably about it.
Yeah.
I've just never been one for dancing.
Yeah, not really. It's not really my style.
I don't like to watch people dance. I think it looks funny.
No.
You know what I mean?
It's
annoying.
Changed. It's changed for me now that I have a daughter and she does dance. But
she's
doing,
a little kid.
Yeah, she's doing like ballet.
Yeah.
Right?
That's different.
Right.
I mean, slow dancing is different.
Yeah.
But like busting a move though.
Right.
Yeah.
Like you're not like
like doing the Irish jig.
Doing the Irish jig.
Like river dancing looks so silly to me because their arms are straight down at their sides and they're just like kicking their feet everywhere.
Like you look fucking ridiculous.
I remember somebody was where were we? I wonder if it was Chris Camp that said this. But somebody was asking like where Riverdance came from, and they were just kind of bullshitting them, and they're like, it was called river dancing because you would go stand in the river and you would kick the fish out of the river so you could have them for dinner. Ever since, I've always had this image in my head of somebody just standing in a river, just like splashing and just like kicking fish up. Let's talk about Bev and Bob. I've been addicted to this video since I saw it the other day. And I knew you would appreciate it because you like all the singing ones, right? So Bev and Bob are these two people who have a YouTube channel, a still active YouTube channel, as a matter of fact. They posted like 11 days ago. So they're still posting stuff. But they sing karaoke versions of popular songs.
Right.
And the particular one that we posted was Down with the Sickness by Disturbed. And if you aren't David Draymond, you aren't going to nail that song.
No. That's
his song.
Yeah.
Nobody will ever...
And even he has trouble with that song.
Even he has trouble with that. There's a part at the beginning of the song. There's two parts at the beginning of the song. One where David Draymond he's kind of speaking like lowly.
Yeah.
And he says, "Oh shit," like that.
Yeah.
But he says it in a way that like something's about to happen.
Yeah.
Bev, when she does it, she goes, "Oh shit." Like her kid just crashed his go-kart into the double wide. Oh shit. Additionally, if you've ever heard Down with the Sickness, you know there's a part where he makes like a monkey noise at the beginning. That's the best way I can explain it. It sounds like an ape noise. And, just for our back-to-back references, here's David Draymond do it. And here's Bob do it. So it's a really hard thing probably a hard thing to cover. I know it's a hard thing to cover. But I'm watching this whole song. I'm watching them sing, or quote-unquote sing this thing. And it's just like, they sound like South Park characters. Especially when they get to the bridge and he goes, "Why do you have to be such a bitch?" I would have put that clip in here too.
Why did you have to be such a bitch?
Oh god,
it's so fucking funny.
Yeah, he sounded like Mr. Mackey to me.
He sounds exactly like a fucking South Park character. I remember the first time I watched it, I was watching it, I was like, man, they're butchering this. And then when it got to the bridge, I was like, now wait a minute. I forgot about this part of the song. In the original song, he starts yelling about his mother, and I was like, how are they going to do this? How is this going to go? And it went exactly as you thought it would. There's a part where Bob, he keeps repeating, "Why don't you fuck off and die? Why don't you just fuck off and die?" And it's so fucking funny. It's just genuinely hilarious. The whole video seems like a Tim and Eric skit. Just like the quality of the video, and they've got that like free green screen background thing going on.
They could definitely put that on like Adult Swim.
Oh yeah,
like it's like little shorts
as
or
its
whatever.
own show. Yeah. Yeah, if they just leaned into it. Yeah.
And I love his sunglasses, which are like the little sunglasses that he's got on,
round ones,
and he's got on like a skull shirt.
Oh yeah,
he's got that long
stringy
greasy,
hair,
long stringy black hair. I think like the first time he popped up, I was like, "Oh, this is gonna be a good one."
Oh yeah.
And because I texted you back, I was like, "Oh, they turned the comments off."
Yeah, they turned the comments off. That's the fact that they turned the comments off makes me feel as though they take it very seriously.
Right.
Like if the comments were on and they just kind of let people have their discourse about it, I'm like, that would kind of make me feel that they know what this is.
They're shit posting.
They know exactly what this is. But the fact that the comments are off,
maybe like they still know what it is, and they're like, maybe if we turn the comments off, then we're just more playing into what this is.
Now that Bev and Bob aren't thinking that far ahead.
No, unfortunately not. Unfortunately not.
I just can't stop thinking about, why do you have to be such a bitch? I screen recorded that little segment of that video, and I saved it because it's like my favorite reaction thing to post. I've been posting it all over Twitter. Like anytime somebody says something stupid, I'll just post it. Oh Lord! I saw in their uploads that they also have a cover that they did of Chop Suey by System of a Down.
So they're real metalheads then.
And Bring Me to Life by Evanescence.
Ooh.
I haven't watched either of those yet. I keep meaning to because I know they got to be golden. Yeah. They have several millions of views.
Yeah, they're really into like the early 2000s metal scene.
Oh yeah, you can tell by looking at them.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. Well, him, she just looks like somebody's grandma.
Yeah.
Like I'm very confused as to how she got drug into this.
Yeah, I don't think that she's quite as into it as he is.
Oh, he's definitely into it.
Because when he's on screen, he's definitely like, he's like doing his head and he's like, moving his arms.
Yeah, he's just pumping his arms.
Yeah. Bev is standing there just grasping onto the mic stand, completely still.
Yeah. She's like, what is this?
Yeah.
What is this angry music? I don't understand.
Like she left small group at church and went home and recorded that with Bob.
Oh God.
Oh, I remember I was sitting in there in the in the other room, and I was like looking for a video to post for Super Cringe Thursday, and that one popped up, and I was just dying laughing. I was in tears. I have not laughed that hard in a very long time. And then when it got to the bridge and he said that, I about fell out of my fucking chair. It's one of the genuinely funniest fucking things I've ever heard. He hits bitch with such power. Like he really, I think he tapped into like how he felt about somebody when he delivered that line.
No, God, because even listening to the original of that song, like he'll get to that part, I'm like, all right, enough of that.
Yeah.
Like I'll turn the song.
Yeah, like up to that part, that song's already given me everything I wanted out of it. Because that bridge is so it's cringy.
Yeah, like,
it's just cringy. Like if I was in Disturbed and we were recording that song or writing that song, he was like, guys, I have a great idea for the bridge. Yeah. I'm just going to have like this edgelord moment and scream about my mom.
I feel like it's like that meme where it's like the two FBI agents like
taking their headsets off.
That's probably the dude on the other side of the soundboard. He's like, oh,
what is this? I'd be like, look, David, I'm not going to be a part of this band if we're going to keep that in the song. That's really stupid.
I remember even like as a cringy 14-year-old, I was like, ooh, man, I don't like that at all.
Yeah.
I think because like it wasn't so much like that part, but like the part at the end where he's like, wah! Like, what are you doing?
I remember like, because the music that we listened to back then, like, we won't get into a huge music discussion, but like the, 30 Seconds to Mars, The Kill. Yeah. Which is a great song. Like, regardless of how you feel about Jared Leto, that's a fantastic song.
Yeah, that's a good song.
He's a great songwriter, and he's a great singer. 30 Seconds to Mars, I think, is a very good band. But a lot of stuff was very angsty. Yeah. Very, very
like
angsty.
AFI.
Yeah. My Chemical Romance.
See, I never got into My Chemical Romance.
I never did, but only because I was a contrarian. Okay. And everyone else liked them, so I wasn't going to like them.
Right. Their music never really struck a chord with me.
Yeah.
That, and I was like, nah. And the people that listen to this don't really.
Yeah. The people who project outwardly that they listen to this, I don't like these people.
Right. So like I was like a weird like in between. It's like I didn't want to listen to any like the mainstream pop shit because I hated it.
Oh yeah.
Like this is all horse shit.
Oh yeah.
And then like all the contrarian shit, I didn't like that either because I didn't really like that group of people. Because I was like, y'all are just as bad as the pop fucks over there.
The pop fucks. So, do you remember? I posted on the Facebook page a while back that there was a video that didn't belong in my workout playlist called Mario pissing meme. I thought that I had taken that out of my workout playlist. I don't know how it got in there. I think what happened is I tried to save it to my other playlist of funny videos or whatever, and I just saved it to the wrong one. But I've been going back to the gym lately.
No.
And the other day, I was doing barbell presses. I was laying on my back. I was about halfway through my second set, and the song ended. And all of a sudden, I hear, "Time to take a piss." And I started laughing, but I had the weight up in the air, so I just got really weak because I started laughing. It like ruined it for me. I had to get back in okay, I'm trying to work out. I gotta get back in that workout headspace. But I have to listen to metal when I work out. I have to.
No.
Nothing. It has to be a very high energy thing.
No.
Like I can't listen to slow jams.
No.
Or Michael Bublé. I can't listen to rap while I'm working out.
Right.
I gotta listen to something that gets my heart rate up. And I'm sure it's not gonna fucking listen to gym radio.
Ugh,
where they just play
worst.
Imagine Dragons and AC/DC back to back.
Welcome to 97.3 Rock, where we play nothing but rock.
Nothing but rock, the best rock, all rock.
Yeah. They don't even do that. They play all the pop shit.
Yeah.
In the gym. It's like, what are you doing?
Yeah. Well, you know that 99X has come back.
Oh, they have.
So Rock 100.5. So a couple months ago, me and Mary were going somewhere. I don't remember where we were going, but I had the radio station set to 100.5. Mm-hmm. It used to be Rock 100.5, whatever rock means to these people.
Imagine Dragons.
Yeah. And the song that was playing was Bittersweet Symphony by The Verb.
That's a good song.
Which is a good
that song.
But then the song ended, and it played again. And I was like, oh, weird. They're playing this back to back. And then it ended, and it played again. And it played again. And it played again. And
Ask some intern.
Mary and I got where we were going and spent a couple hours there.
Yeah.
And then on the way home, it was still playing. And I was like, what the fuck is happening?
Yeah.
And I follow one of the people who used to be on the morning show on Twitter.
Yeah.
And one of my friends on Twitter is actually close friends with him. So I tweeted about it. I was like, why is 100.5 playing this over and over and over again?
Yeah.
Because the next morning I went to go get us biscuits and it was still playing. And I was like, somebody
nobody's at the station. What's going on?
Somebody die on the controls. It's just their fucking heads laying on the repeat button. What it ended up being was, and this was right before Christmas.
Yeah.
I mean, December 20th. They fired everyone.
Oh, really?
They just came in and cleaned house.
Yeah.
And so they just left Bittersweet Symphony on repeat. And then 99X came in and they took over. However, it's still on station 100.5. It's still that bandwidth.
Yeah.
But it's called 99X. And I remember a lot of people were talking like, oh, dude, that's so exciting. 99X is coming back. They play all the good stuff.
Yeah.
It's fucking AC/DC and Imagine Dragons.
Yeah.
What the fuck? Where is any good music?
Well, I just don't understand. It seems like
I know we said we wouldn't have a music discussion.
I know, but it's getting ready to happen. I don't understand because they're so everybody says it. Everybody's like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah.
Play the fucking songs that everybody wants to hear.
Yeah.
Quit playing the same 3 songs over and over again.
Yeah.
It's like, do you not hear? Everybody's telling you, we're telling you what to do. We're not making this hard on you.
Yeah.
We're going to tell you exactly what to play. If you play these things, people will listen.
It has to be like contracts, right? With the artists or the record labels or something, being the reason why they play all that same shit over and over. It's got to be something along those lines. Because if you consider the way that people listen to music nowadays is people will curate their own playlists.
No.
With you with Apple Music, I use YouTube, Spotify, whatever.
Right.
Nobody's really listening to people listen to the radio in interim.
Right.
When they're going a car ride,
I don't even do that anymore.
6 minutes down the road or whatever. So maybe they don't have the money or the.
Then just tell people that.
They're not going to come out and say we're broke.
Well, then people would at least understand, like, nobody's listening to your shit anyway.
Yeah.
Like, nobody's listening. Like, nobody listens to the fucking radio anymore.
I tell you what radio needs to be now. Radio needs to stop playing the hits because people are going to go and listen to the hits on their own.
You need to curate new music for people to hear.
Radio needs to...
And I don't want to listen to any of it because I've heard all the songs I want to hear. So this is for the new crowd.
I mean, every now and then I'll come across something new
Right.
and I'll add it to my playlists. But, I think radio needs to do a 180. And be like, here's local bands. Here's, stuff that's, up and coming. Here's, all this other stuff. It's not, hey, do you remember Master of Puppets?
Yeah.
You'll listen to it 9 times today. Oh, by the way, Metallica, Pantera, and Mammoth are doing a tour.
Really? Are they coming to Atlanta?
They are.
Ooh, when?
I don't remember, but general admission is like $1,100.
Yeesh.
So I will not be going.
Never mind.
But what a fucking cool concert that would be.
$1,100.
$1,100 for general admission.
They've lost their fucking minds.
Well, people will pay it.
Yeah.
People who can pay it will pay it.
Right. That one makes me wonder how much people paid for S&M 2.
Oh,
to
yeah.
get a ticket to that.
I went and listened. I listened to that, by the way.
Yeah.
When,
Just mwah.
So good.
So good.
So fucking good. The original one we had talked about before, it's really good.
Yeah.
But the new one came out, and you could tell that they're using like updated like software to record, mix, and master, and it's just so much more.
Oh yeah.
So much more full. And my only critique of the first S&M is that it kind of just sounds like the sum of all its parts. Like it's not very cohesive.
Right.
Just from like a mixing standpoint.
Right.
Like it still sounds good, but the new one it's very homogenous.
Well, you can
and
definitely pick everything out.
Yeah, it works very, very well.
No.
Nothing is really like overpowering anything else.
Right.
I mean, like some stuff you're gonna want like the drums to come through.
Right.
You got to be able to hear the drums.
Right.
But nothing is really like, it doesn't feel like everything is kind of in its own area.
Right.
It's all working together.
No, that's such a beautifully put together album.
Yeah, it's super good.
I listened to the whole thing because I listened to it all the way through, and then at the end of it, I was like, all of those songs were amazing. Like all of them were good. Like, none of them were bad. They were all fantastic.
Call of Cthulhu is so good.
Oh yeah,
so fucking good.
And there are certain Metallica songs that I like, but I wouldn't necessarily say that I'm a Metallica fan.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I am a fan of that album.
Yeah.
If all of their albums sounded like that, then I would be an avid Metallica fan.
I mean, Master of Puppets, if you kind of separate it from like the fact that it's been overplayed, it is a good song.
Yeah.
One is a good song. Whiskey in the Jar is a really good song.
Yes.
I like Whiskey in the Jar a lot.
That's like an old Irish folk song that they covered, isn't it?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Metallica's always been really good about taking things kind of out of their genre.
Yeah.
And turning it into metal.
Right.
Which Metallica is very early metal. Very early metal. Like when metal was really kind of becoming
they were
a thing.
really like the first. They are the first. Well, I take that back. To me, Black Sabbath is the first like popular metal band.
Yeah.
Like
they're still very rock though.
Yeah, they're still very rock, but they're the first.
Yeah.
And then like the largest during a little bit after that is of course Metallica.
Yeah.
Metallica
Nobody
is
was bigger than Metallica.
Yeah, Metallica is the grandfather of all metal that comes after it.
Right.
Like Black Sabbath is like Prometheus.
They're they handed fire to Metallica.
Right. Like they came out of the
primordial ooze.
The primordial soup and then handed it like Metallica's like the caveman. Like he's the first.
Yeah, it would have been really interesting to kind of be around when all that was first coming out, when that was really starting to become a thing.
Right.
Like, when me and you came along, it was already kind of established.
Right.
So there's like already this kind of a backlog of stuff like lore that you have to pick up on. Yeah. And then seeing what it's become now. I guess like, you and I probably saw like the beginnings of things like, metalcore and deathcore and death metal and things along those lines. And some of that is a bit too artsy for my tastes, But yeah, it would have been really cool to see all that stuff as it was first coming out. I really like symphonies in general.
Yes.
Like stringed big bands, things like that. I love the sound of all that. It's such a classic. There's a reason that it stood the test of time.
Right.
Just because it sounds so good.
There's certainly something about metal
that just coheses
like
with
an
it.
orchestra.
Yeah, it just goes together
works.
so well.
Yeah.
Like one of my all-time favorite like metal and orchestra songs is the Death Harmonic by Death Clock. Like even though it's a song about not paying taxes, which maybe the libertarian in me really likes for that reason alone, it just sounds good.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure the Philharmonic is who played with that one.
No.
Because Death Clock is it's an Adult Swim show, and Adult Swim is based out of Atlanta. So, yeah, I just love the way that sounds.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really interested as to why it is that it works so well together. I wonder if it's like the time signature that it gets played in, like most metal songs get played in, or if it has to do with like the structure of the songs itself.
Yeah.
Or
it's got to have something to do with the range.
Yeah.
Like when you get down to the science of it, like the frequency. Because metal is very like low tuned, very distorted. And then with the orchestra, they might especially the strings.
No.
The strings are much higher pitched.
No.
And they sound very clean and clear.
No.
So I think when you take those two things, those two
the
kind of
contrast
opposite
of
sides of the spectrum, they just they work well together. They kind of pick up the slack that the other one has.
Right.
I think that's why it works so well.
I did have a proud father moment the other day.
Oh, did you?
So I had been letting Autumn listen to S&M 2.
Really?
Yeah, because most of the songs they're clean songs. Like most of what you're listening to is like the orchestra along with
a lot of
Metallica
instrumental
playing,
stuff.
right?
Yeah.
And so I still had my phone connected to the car when Allison got in the car.
Yeah.
And so S&M 2 started up, and they were playing One, which on that album was a fantastic song. I think that's probably my favorite off that entire album. And Allison is not a huge Metallica fan. I understand it's not for everybody.
Yeah.
So, and then she goes to turn it off, and Autumn goes, "No, I want to listen to Metallica."
Oh,
I was like, yes.
She's eating her vegetables and listening to Metallica. You're doing good. You're coming along great there with that little one. The other day, I went to the library because I was. Just want to start reading books.
No.
I know it kind of sounds like a dumb thing to say, but
as you get older, you start.
I was like, I should probably read some books. Like, I don't really read a lot. I'll read things like, I spend a lot of time on Wikipedia just reading about things, but something about reading an actual book, I think, is because you have to engage with it.
Right.
So when you get a membership, a library card or whatever, with the library in town. Do y'all ever go there or anything?
Yeah, the one in the town that we live in. We'll go there.
So if you have a library card, you can get like free admission to a lot of stuff.
Really?
Yeah. So like if you have a library card, you can get a family pass, a free family pass to the Zoo Atlanta.
Really?
Yeah, but it's Monday through Friday.
Okay.
So you'd have to like take a day off work. Yeah. But I just remember like I got to thinking about the zoo, and it was like, I still really enjoy the zoo. I love the zoo. I love going to see animals. Just because, like, when do you see a giraffe?
Right.
Nowhere other than the zoo.
Right.
And, like, giraffes are so fucking cool just because, look at the fucking thing.
Right.
There's nothing else on this planet that looks anything like a giraffe. But I remember, like, being a kid and going to the zoo. I remember Mama took us. This was back when Willie B was still alive.
Oh, that was a long time ago.
Yeah, Willie B was a famous gorilla at the Atlanta Zoo. And I just remember, to me, like, it was like walking into a different world.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, look at all these. I didn't even know, like, what is that thing?
Yeah. Well, like, you walk in, the first thing you see is, like, you look to the left, and there's, like, all these flamingos standing. It smells awful.
Yeah, they stink so fucking bad. But there they are, bright pink birds. I remember I remember when we were kids, I remember walking over to where the gorillas were. Mm-hmm. And, when you're a kid, everything seems a lot bigger than it really is.
No.
Just because you are small.
Yeah.
And I remember looking over at the gorillas, and there's like just this big fucking gorilla just sitting there, and he's just kind of looking at the people or whatever. And I remember thinking, like, in my little kid brain, I was like, I bet we haven't discovered all the animals.
No.
I was like, I bet if that thing exists, dragons are real. I just remember thinking that way as a kid, right? So, like, the world still has some magic to it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I kind of miss the optimism.
No. Yeah, the zoo is fun, and I really like the aquarium, too.
I love the aquarium.
Aquariums. And Atlanta has a fantastic aquarium.
Yeah, it really does. I love the one where it's got the big like panoramic.
Oh, yeah. Is that the one where,
glass.
like, you go underneath and it's got, like, the dome?
Yeah, you go through the tunnel first, and then
Yeah.
you come out, and then that big panoramic glass or whatever. They got, like, the whale sharks and stuff in there. I love, like, manta rays. Manta rays are fucking cool looking.
Yeah, they have, like, those giant, like, Goliath groupers up in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's, like, 600-pound fish.
It'd be cool if they could find a way to do, like, a deep sea, like aquarium.
Like an anglerfish?
Yeah, they had, like, the deep sea fish. Like, I don't know how you would do that.
You'd have
because
to, like, pressurize the tank.
Yeah, you'd have to pressurize the tank
because
somehow.
as soon as you let the pressure off, the thing would just disintegrate.
Yeah, just die. Just turn into goo.
The poof, and just turn into dust.
But it'd be cool if you could, like, walk in there and, like, see those things. Mm-hmm. Now, I know a lot of those things are extremely predatory.
Yes.
So you can't have a bunch of them in the same tank
Right.
together.
Right.
I don't even know how you would transport it. Like, how would you go, like, grab a deep sea, like, anglerfish
Right.
and
You
safely
imagine-
move it to a tank
You imagine
somewhere?
being the first person to ever see an anglerfish?
Yeah, how fucking terrifying
Like,
that must have
what
been.
the fuck is that?
With, like, those pale eyes and those long, needly teeth. Everything down there in the deep dark is just so alien
Yeah.
and scary.
Well, it's like, there's like snails that live next to like volcanic vents at the bottom. It's like 700 degrees next to these vents.
Yeah, they're just hanging out. That's where we live.
There's like 7 of them just hanging out.
Just chilling. When we went to the zoo in Rome, I saw a rhinoceros for the first time.
Really?
That was really cool because we had walked over there. We're walking around or whatever, and I was kind of looking at the map of the park, and they was like, "Oh, we have a rhino exhibit." Mm-hmm. I was like, "Oh, I've never seen a rhino before. I want to go see that." And we walked over there, and we couldn't see them. I was like, "Oh, maybe they're inside their building or whatever."
No.
But then it was 2 of them, and they came charging around.
Whoa.
Like around the corner.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, not only have I never seen a rhino, I've never seen one charge.
Right.
And I was like, thank God I'm up here looking down at that thing.
Right.
Because I couldn't imagine being out in the fucking Sahara
Yeah.
or Serengeti or wherever the fuck these things are, and a rhino is charging me.
Right.
That's terrifying. That thing is like, he's like 80% just body, and the other 20% of him is a head.
Yeah. As a horn.
Is a head with a big ass horn on it. I was like, that thing could fuck you up so bad.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
It's basically a dinosaur.
Yeah.
They look like they're armor plated.
Yeah.
They're crazy fucking looking things.
Well, I think they said like the skin on them is like that thick.
I believe
It's
it.
like this massive like skin.
Like a big walking callus.
Yeah, it's pretty much what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, because you hardly ever see like a lion attack them. Like it's the amount of effort that would be required in order to take that thing down.
Yeah.
Like a healthy adult,
And then try to eat it.
and then try to eat it. It's just not worth it.
Yeah, not worth it, yeah.
No, it's sort of like nothing really eats hippos.
No.
Like you really
Maybe
want
other hippos.
Yeah, you want to get in a tussle with that.
That's another thing. Fuck that, dude. I don't want to be anywhere near a hippo.
Right, and they say that like hippos kill more people per capita
Yeah.
than any other animal.
They're extremely violent.
Yeah.
And really fucking fast,
Yeah.
too.
And you wouldn't think that by looking at them.
Yeah. Have you ever seen that video where the guys are in the boat and that
Yeah.
hippo is like swimming after them and it's like keeping pace with the boat?
I don't like that at all.
Yeah, I'm very happy to live over here in our safe little world that we've created for ourselves.
Africa is such a wild place just because of like the amount of stuff that can kill you.
Yeah.
And like that's the cradle of civilization.
Yeah.
Like how in the fuck
Did we get out of
did
this?
we get out of that?
Yeah. Lions, hippos, fucking baboons,
Yeah.
will like eat you neck first while you're still alive and screaming. Hyenas are scary too.
Cheetahs.
Jaguars.
Jaguars.
At the very least,
all
cheetah,
the big cats.
Yeah, the big cats are going to try and kill you quick, jump on your back, bite your neck. But like a hyena is just going to start eating you.
Yeah.
Like while you're running away.
Right.
So you run up and take a bite out of your calf.
Yeah.
Something I thought was interesting about cheetahs is that they're not, they aren't canines. And they're not felines either. They're something totally different.
Yeah, well, they don't have retractable claws.
Yeah. Which they kind of look like they would be canines more than anything.
No.
But they're not. They're like some other genus or whatever it is. I don't know how all that works.
Yeah, all the big cats over there are just so wild. Especially too, like people kind of sleep on jaguars. Jaguars are a horrific animal.
Aren't jaguars over here too? In Florida, right?
Yes. Is it jaguar? What? There's two different types.
Panthers in Florida.
There's panthers and there's jaguars. So I know that like jaguars, like I've seen where like one will jump. He like jumped into a fucking river, swam across the river, like bit a fucking crocodile on the back of the neck. And
crocodile?
And then swam with the crocodile back across the river and drug him up in a tree and ate him.
God damn.
Yeah.
Crocodile, that's a pretty hefty thing to do, just grab and
all he's
drag.
Just swimming with the crocodile in his mouth. You can go up and balk him on the head.
What chance do you stand if this thing wants to get you?
There's nothing you can do.
I saw a video the other day, actually, where there's some dudes who are hunting or poaching, whatever, over in Africa, and they were trying to shoot a male lion, and the guy like whiffed both shots.
Oh no!
And it got on him, and they managed to shoot it. He had some other folks with him.
Yeah.
And they managed to shoot it and kill it and get it off of him. Yeah. But then they kind of dragged the guy off to the side and they start like taking off his shirt, and he's just shredded. The thing was on him for less than a second.
Yeah.
And he is just fucking shredded cheddar. It really puts into perspective.
Yeah, there's nothing you can do.
We're just these thinly veiled bags of jelly.
You're a Happy Meal for that thing.
Yeah. You just stand no fucking chance, dude.
You're just an Uncrustable, all right?
Uncrustable.
You are a child snack for this thing.
Oh. Well, before we run out of time, we do have a correction to read. Let's see if I can pull it up here. So this comes from Avery. Shout out. So I think last episode we were talking about Johnny Knoxville's hair.
Yeah.
He said Johnny Knoxville's hair went gray when they went into lockdown because of COVID. He never dyed it.
Oh,
so
okay.
Apparently they talk about that in Jackass 4.5, which is like a behind-the-scenes type of thing. But that's interesting that, because if you look at like the way his hair looks in some of those shots, like we said, it's like very dark hair. But then they were in lockdown for, a year?
No.
And it just went totally stark white.
Yep.
I don't know if it was stress or what, or if it was just time. Yeah. It just was poorly timed.
Time to go.
Well, but it's such a wild difference. Like, he had to have woken up one morning like, what the fuck? Yeah.
It's funny because yesterday I went and got my hair cut. And as I was getting my hair cut, I like looked down at the hair like on the apron.
Yeah.
And it's just gray everywhere.
Really?
And I was like, fuck.
Well, must be nice to be able to get a haircut.
Well, not for much longer. Because I was like, great.
Do that.
It's growing gray. It's going gray, and I'm losing it from the fucking top of my head.
Oh, so you're balding at the crown?
I'm balding at my crown.
Yeah.
And I'm also getting gray hair.
Well, I mean,
a fucking double whammy.
That's what happens. I mean, I'm sure that my hair, if I let it grow out, it probably is gray, but I've been bald for so long.
No. Well, you've got like patches too. It's not just.
Yeah. I've started to notice that it's, in addition to being right here and back here, it's starting to go over here as well. Yeah. So I think eventually what's going to happen is I'm going to have a cul-de-sac.
Yeah.
And, I'm not ever going to let that happen.
Yeah.
Like, I'm always going to be just bald or at least buzzed. I'm not going to have a fucking cul-de-sac. Right. What is the point of having that?
I guess it's like the same as like the friars where they would like shave the top of their heads.
Yeah, it was all the way around though.
Maybe you should bring that look back. you could like grow it to like 2 points like this.
Yeah.
Because like you're losing it in the middle.
It's
or
like the
on
opposite of a
there.
yarmulke.
Yeah.
It's just bald on top. Yeah, I just don't get the cul-de-sac look, man.
It's not a good look.
It isn't.
It's always accompanied by an off-brand polo shirt with jean shorts, like the shirt tucked into the shorts with a belt, and some like calf high like tube socks with the New Balances on
with grass stains.
Yep, that's a look. It is a look.
It's not something that anybody chooses. I don't think. I think it's just a thing that happens. It's a metamorphosis of life.
It's like when the caterpillar goes into the cocoon and comes out as a butterfly.
Yeah, but not quite as beautiful. Did you know that when caterpillars do that, just like a quick thing, that they actually like disintegrate?
Really?
Yeah, so they don't just like change, they turn into like liquid and then reform into a butterfly.
Really?
Yeah.
How odd.
It was very weird. I remember seeing this thing where these scientists somehow were able to like look inside of the, what is it called, a pupa? The cocoon. There's a name for a cocoon, scientific name for it. But they were able to watch it. And yeah, it was like this caterpillar. He just turns into goo.
Yeah, they're like, what?
And then he turns into a butterfly.
That's so strange.
That is a weird thing. Like, how does that happen? Like, how along the evolutionary tree does it become that, okay, now is when I'm going to build a house around myself, turn into soup, and then turn into another thing?
Yeah.
Like, how did we get there?
Like, I wonder, like, what happens that, like, is it like their DNA just kind of falls apart and then reconstructs itself?
I guess.
Like, there's a signal that gets sent that says, hey, just separate.
And something has to be in control of this whole operation.
Yeah, right. It's not just like just a whim and a will.
Yeah, it's just not happening.
Like, is the head still like bobbing around in there? And then
I don't know, man. Because if you ever look at like maggots, like fly larvae, you could see them turn into a fly.
Right.
Like they don't turn into goo and then a fly.
Right.
Or even like any other kind of like larva, say like a bee.
Yeah.
Like a bee larva is kind of a worm-looking thing, but it turns into a bee. You can see it become a bee.
You know, one of the craziest videos I think I've ever seen is like, you ever watch like the things where they extract like bloat flies from people?
Awful.
Yeah.
So fucking
Here's
awful.
everybody's homework for the week. Go look at that.
Yeah, go watch that shit. Ugh.
It's just awful.
It's like I can't do like the pimple popping videos.
Allison watches those all the time.
It's a girl thing. Girls love that shit.
Autumn watches it.
I don't get it, man. It's gross. Nope. I don't want to see
disgusting.
I don't want to see custard erupt out of somebody's back. Like I was scrolling through Facebook, and I'll come across like a Dr. Pimple Popper video.
No.
And they don't ease into it. Like you scroll past it, and it's just like squeezing out of some guy like they're icing a cake. It's so fucking nasty, man. Yeah, but the botfly thing is bad because those larvae have barbs on them that point backwards. So it requires some
force to get it out.
You got to put a little mustard on it to get them out.
I think the one I saw, like this dog had them like all on his back, and they were just taking them out. I was like, ugh.
Oh.
I think it's mostly in Africa, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think it's in like I think it's in dry climates where you have that problem. Insects are scary.
Yeah.
But like the shit that they do. Like there's that one wasp, I think it's the warrior wasp, which has one of the most painful stings in the world. It will sting a tarantula and paralyze it, and then squirt its eggs into the tarantula's like skin into his body. And then the larvae grow and they hatch and they eat the tarantula alive. And that was his life.
Oh, it's like, was it that parasite that will get inside of snails or whatever it is?
Oh yeah.
And like it's got like those.
It'll like undulate in his eye stalks. It's like, and the snail's alive the whole time.
And essentially, like, they do that in order for a bird to come eat it.
Yeah, they try to get the attention of a bird,
right?
So that the bird will come eat the snail, and then the parasite can like incubate inside the bird's stomach.
Right.
I'm glad I'm a human. I'm just glad I'm a human because all the rest of that, everything that everyone else is doing, sucks.
Horrific. All of it. All of it's horrible.
The worst thing that can happen to me is I get shot in the stomach, but at least a machine is partly responsible for that.
At least I get chewed up by some fucking escalator steps. or tossed off a fucking ride because I'm too fat.
Oh, man. Well, I think that's about all we got time for today, everybody. So once again, as always, thank you so much for listening. We never did bring in the podcast, I just realized.
Oh, this is episode
60.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go. Very special episode where we never even said which one it was. It's, I mean, I can't believe we've done 60 episodes. Or the fact that people are still listening after 60 episodes. And more people are starting to listen.
Right.
So, if you're new here, hello and welcome. I hope that you've been enjoying. If you guys want to get in contact with us, the best way to do that is probably through Facebook, or you can email us at thickboypodcast@gmail.com. If we said anything that was wrong or anything you disagree with, or if we offended you, make sure you let us know. And we can read out corrections on our segment called I'm Sorry. Also, if you guys want our opinion on anything or want any kind of advice, we'd be more than happy to give that. Not that you should take it, but we will give it.
We'll give it to you.
Do you have anything you'd like to close with?
Nope. Just as always, thank you so much for the support. Like Gary said, don't forget to like, subscribe, or leave a review or a rating on whatever your preferred podcast platform is. And also, too, all the contact information that he listed should be in the show note details.
Yeah.
So
should all be there. All right, everybody. That's the podcast. Thank you and goodbye.
Bye.
Why did you have to be such a bitch?
Why don't you fuck off and die?
Fuck up and die.
Fuck
Why
off
can't
and die.
you
Why
fuck
can't
up
you
and
fuck
die?
off and
Why
die?
can't you just live here and die?
Again, bitch. Fuck you.
Fuck you!